such a pleasure to be with you today, Robert Rogers.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
I understand you, I've heard a bit about your work over the years, and I've always been really attracted to it. Something that's coming up for me, like as far as if people are looking for these mushrooms in the wild and so on, I know only so many people are wild harvesting their mushrooms. A lot of people are purchasing them from companies, and I've heard some concerns about the mushrooms being grown, on mediums that aren't their ordinary, I guess what they would normally be feeding off of. Is that a valid concern in the market?
Yeah, I believe it is. In fact, next month in Telluride, I'm going to do a presentation called the 20 Myths of Medicinal Mushrooms. And one of them actually does suggest that there is a distinct difference between the fruiting body and the organism. And so when you grow a mycelium mat in millet, or wheat, or rice, or whatever, that's not really the natural substrate. And there is also evidence to show that some of the mycelium, which is often added in because it's cheaper, let's face it, than the fruiting body, may not have the same degree of efficacy that those branched beta-glucans that I've spoken about. In mycelium, they're more straight and linear and may not have that same activity on the immune activation in the gut that you're looking for. Having said that, there is also reason to believe that experimenting with herbal substrates may create compounds for us that have never before been found that may have different kind of efficacy. So that kind of excites me too.
Yeah, I bet. That's new territory.
New territory.
Exciting.
Exactly.
So these beta-glucans you speak of, it's interesting how often, I'm sure you've come across in your clinical practice, and the naturopathic sort of word on the street is anything that works on the immune system, just stay away from it if you have any autoimmune disorders. Camp number one. Camp number two being, well, no, these beta-glucans and these polysaccharides can really harmonize the immune system, these complex protein sugars. And you have a stance on that, I imagine?
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
pretty strongly. In fact, the multitude of books out there, herbal books that are written by pharmacists, I pass them by because I've read so many of them that I go, are you kidding me? That plants and mushrooms are much more than a series of chemicals. They are very complex. They have a life of their own and a spirit of their own. The idea that any herb stimulates the immune system is incorrect. I mean, they often say that about echinacea. No, that's not true. Immune modulation is a better term. That is, if your immune system is deficient, it will ramp it up. And in a case of echinacea, about 4 days, we'll have an optimal level of expression. There's going to be different kinds of interleukins and different kinds of processes that create an optimal condition for your body to fight viruses, bacteria, etc. But if your system is over-ramped, if it's overactive, like in rheumatoid arthritis, for example, it will damp it down. Echinacea is a good example, again, that in rheumatoid arthritis, in that acute, aggressive, tissue destructive state, there's nothing better than echinacea. Major amounts for a few days will just reduce that inflammation and prevent further destruction. So it's a matter of actually using these natural products intelligently, and that's why herbalists are around.
I think a lot of people are unfortunately just taking the line of absolute safety protocol based on not being fully informed. So they'll suggest anything that acts on the immune system. If you have an overactive immune system, stay away from it. It's really simplistic logic.
Well, it reminds me of the aspirin a day that doctors suggested 81 milligram of aspirin. Now, number one, how did they come up with 81 milligrams as the optimal? Was that for a 150-pound person or for a 300-pound person?
Yeah. So thank you, Robert, for coming out and being our guest on Our Common Roots Speakers Corner. We're really inspired to get people like yourself and the wisdom you've gathered over years of experience and research and to share with the public. And I'd like to invite anyone who's watching to pay attention to the Our Common Roots website and also to any of Robert's websites and the College of Studies. And thank you for joining us.